Yo, what up? It's your boy Ryan Inspires, aka the Little Engineer That Could, and welcome back to the YouTube channel where I give practical advice to help you engineer success in your life. If you're a man, this page is for you, so make sure you subscribe and like because I'm going to be sharing content that's going to help promote personal development and help every man who's on their journey to become the best version of themselves and also to become the most authentic version of themselves, which I believe is the version of yourself that God has called you to be. That was a mouthful, but let's jump right into it. So in today's video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes where I went to a marriage conference with my wife. This marriage conference is at the same church that I went to the men's conference, which I have a video of that too if you want to see that. But at the men's conference, they advertised this marriage conference, and I just jumped at the opportunity because I thought, why not? And I didn't consult my wife or anything. I just bought the tickets and I told her after the fact. But it is a goal of ours to attend marriage conferences and these type of events because we want to work on our marriage, and we know the importance of constantly working at it. So I know that she would love to do it. I just, I didn't know she had plans that day, but turned out she didn't, so it worked out perfectly. So I learned from the men's conference, right? Like that, it's Friday, Saturday, and then the Friday it finishes at like 10:30, 11, and then I have to drive an hour and 10, hour and 30 if you don't take tolls to get back home. So because I know that it wasn't just me and the homie this time, it was actually me and my wife, we booked a hotel in Plano, like 10 minutes away from the event, to make sure that we were well rested for the next day. So I'm not gonna lie to you all too, the hotel was a nice touch because you're away from the kid, you're alone, you and wife, you get to rekindle after you just hear all these good messages. So to all you homies out there, if you're going to a marriage conference or anything that's even 30 minutes away, I would take your little hotel if you can. Leave the kid with babysitter, family, vibe out. So the Friday we got there, we actually missed our breakout session. So they have breakout sessions, but unfortunately, I think it started at like 6 and we got there for like 6:30. So we got like the back end of it, which was about financial freedom, which is fine because they give you the resources afterwards. We had to pay for it, but it's fine. I'll pay for those resources. So boom, after we, ate, changed, got ready, head downstairs and went to the event. My wife and I had a little conversation in the car. I like to hit you all with the car conversations. Last time I did it with my boy Jamie. This time I did it with my wife, asking her what was one thing she wanted to get from the conference. So this is the conversation my wife and I had in the car. After the conversation, we'll talk some more. We're early.
We're running late.
No. See? We're early for the main event, but we had a breakout session, which was financial peace in marriage. We're running a little bit late for the breakout session, but that's fine because they give you the materials afterwards as well. But we're making it on time, so we're gonna get there, register, and get ready. So babe, what is one of the main things you want to learn? Just one main thing you want to learn from this marriage conference?
I think I just want to be around more women who are married, see how they communicate, just get wisdom from them. I think the main thing for me is just being more in a soft wife era where I don't feel like I need to control everything and leave it up to.
And all the fellas said amen.
Leave things for Ryan to be on top of, if that makes sense.
Yep. And I would like to learn how to be on top of those things in a biblical way and, lead as a man should. And decision making, and also just how to listen, communicate, and understand. Because I think hearing from other women give you another perspective. So I think that'll be good. So that was our conversation, and I felt like that was a really good way to set expectations, to just see what she was looking to get out of it, and also for her to hear what I plan to get out of it. I mean, once we get there, I felt like the conference blew past our expectations because of the speakers that they had, just really dynamic speakers with really good topics, and I will get into it a little bit more in the video, but not into detail obviously because it would just be too long, and I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube somewhere. I've been to the men's conference before, as I mentioned, and it was packed. Honestly, it was really packed. This one was just as packed, but it had less cars, which makes sense because husband and wife coming in the same car. So when I got there, I was like, oh, this is not as much as the men's conference. But once you got inside, it was packed to capacity. But it definitely was giving grown and sexy vibes. You know, they had the red velvet couch, they had other seating areas outside, and it was a cool vibe coming into it. It definitely set the tone for what to expect coming in there. So the thing about these conferences, you really would hate to go and it's a boring conference. So it was good that we came, you know, the lead pastor came up, introduced himself, introduced the agenda, the kind of vibe they're trying to set, and then they would jump straight into a performer, which, I mean, it was amazing. It's like it gave Jabberwocky vibes, if you know what that is, but with a light show. So that was cool to see. And then they jumped right into praise and worship, which was cool because you've seen all these couples like singing, praising God together, and you, even if that's not your vibe, like if you don't sing out loud or whatever in church, you still felt the need to at least stand and hum along or sway along, which, you know, Michelle and I was singing. I feel like I like to belt out and sing every now and again, but it was a good vibes just from the jump. That pretty much wrapped up day one, and again, day one ended beautifully. Had some amazing speakers. I believe it had like 3 speakers that day. I forgot to mention, they did give us this box. It was on every seat for one per couple, with some nice things in there. We had candy, you know, that's good. I like that. Some popcorn bags with popcorn boxes for a little. It's like a date night box. So it had these date dice in there, some marriage prayers, and a couple other goodies in there as well. This was the book pictured at the front of the video for the Together Forever Couples Conference. We did get these really cool, I want to call it like a brochure with 12 affirmations for a husband to pray over a wife and 12 affirmations for a wife to pray over her husband. That was really cool because we could actually use those continuously. You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? You could use those. So that was the end of the first day, and then we had to go get something to eat, go to bed. Again, it was late. They did have activities for couples after the conference. Unfortunately, Michelle and I did not go because we were hungry, 1, and then 2, she was really tired and I was tired too, so we went and get something to eat, went back to the hotel because we knew we had to get up early to go to the conference again in the morning. So the second day, the Saturday, we got there. We did miss our breakout session again because we woke up late, but we did make it to the main session, the main event, and then we made it to our second breakout session that day, which was leaving a legacy. So that was really good. We did catch the first session online because you could have caught it virtually, so we caught that virtually, and it was about sex, but great session by that couple explaining the different dynamics. Anyway, day 2 was pretty much the same flow. So you had praise and worship, and then they didn't have the entertainer this time, but you had praise and worship, then speaker, breakout session, speaker. Only thing that was different about day 2 is that they had somebody come out, well, a couple come out and had us do a TikTok dance. Now look at this, you'll see it in the video right now playing. Look at this, y'all. Look how we vibing decent in the church. Like everybody just vibing decent. See that movements, boom. We learning the steps, the choreography, and we hitting that TikTok dance heavy in the church. And it's still a song by Kirk Franklin, so it was definitely a vibe, moving. And Michelle and I tried the dance. Michelle got it. I don't know. I feel like I usually could get these dances, but for some reason, I don't know, because we were in the aisle and I couldn't really break out and do what I needed to do, to show off these dance moves. But I couldn't get this for the life of me. So all in all, it was a great experience. We had speakers speaking about everything from perspective, like what does it mean to be married to you? Like if you look at it from that perspective, how do you deal with things? They talked about sex. They talked about finances. They talked about how complicated marriage is and how do you deal with complications in your marriage. They talked about, one of the illustrations by Brian, I believe his name was, the coffee and the water, like how the coffee have to be grinded, the water have to be boiled, and that's how you come together. Like you'll have to go through hard things for you all to become one. So it had all these different speakers really giving good takes, good principles for you to go back home. And we actually left with a marriage guidebook that it's a workbook, so we're definitely going to use that throughout our time and fill it out and use the principles that we learned to better our marriage and hopefully pass it on to other couples as well. Hey yo, thank you for watching. That was my experience at the marriage conference with my wife. It was a great experience. A little tip: if there's a marriage conference and you're married and there's a marriage conference around, be sure to go to it, find one, go with a next couple. That's what we did. We went with our friends who are also married. It's a great experience. You get to learn different principles. But as a little engineer that could, before I leave you, let me leave you with some practical advice and some tips for your marriage that I learned at that conference. So number one is to remember that marriage is complicated and be self-aware enough to see where you are at that complication. Number two, be sure to be graceful with each other and give grace. Give the same grace you would want to be given. Number three, when you are married to someone, you have to be sure to look at their perspective of things, because they might be seeing things from a different perspective based on how they grew up, based on their past relationships, etc. Number three, remember that your spouse is going to remember what's repeated to them. So make sure when you're speaking life and not speaking death into your relationship. Number four and final, which I believe is most important, is to remember that the foundation of your marriage is your love for God, and then second for that is the love for your spouse and others. So be sure to keep God first, keep God at the foundation of your marriage, and you will have a successful marriage. My goal is to have a successful marriage that lasts 50 plus, 60 plus years. It's your boy Ryan Inspires, aka the little engineer that could, signing out. And remember, if I could, you could.